Hello, you amazing people. Welcome back to RX Memes. Today, we are going to be jumping into the subreddit r/EntitledPeople, and this is probably going to make us feel really good about ourselves, as long as we're not entitled assholes, personally. If you like today's video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and join me for new content every day, and let's get into today's stories. Entitled brother-in-law helps himself to our food and alcohol after my wedding. Let me tell you a quick story about why my wedding dinner turned out to be some burritos from Taco Bell. My wife's brother is a full-on narcissist to a scary degree. I've never had a genuine interaction with him, and he legitimately scares me as his act starts to fade, usually an hour or two. He has a brood of kids and is constantly on the search for things he can take advantage of, most notably involving food. After my wedding, my wife and I were packing up everything to head home. We were saving the leftover food and alcohol for last. As we were packing up, I noticed my new brother-in-law stacking up the catering trays full of our wedding food on a bench next to his van. I was ridiculously annoyed, but was so exhausted, didn't sleep the night before, and wedding took a lot out of me, that I didn't interfere. I thought, he has kids, I'm sure there's still some food left. Also, my in-laws paid for the food, not gonna freak out. Then I noticed him loading up his van with the wedding alcohol, the alcohol my wife and I paid for in full. That pissed me off to the point where I was going to confront him. My wife convinced me not to. She's legitimately terrified of him, and to just get home. Well, it turns out that piece of shit took every last tray of food and cleared the alcohol as well, so my famished wife and I went to a Taco Bell. When I confronted his parents about it, his father, a nice man but huge enabler, told me the extra food was donated to his church. He told me that his son has kids and probably felt entitled to it for that reason. I am dubious on the church claim, as I have seen how that fucker eats and how out of shape he is. He'd fuck over his entire family if it meant he got ahead or got what he wanted. Anyways, that's it. All the dude had to do was ask for some food and booze, but he instead felt entitled to it because he's an awful human. Okay, realistically though, I feel like I've been encountering a lot of narcissists, and I'm not sure if it's because I've been learning about them on YouTube University. I've been watching so many videos about how to spot a narcissist and like traits that only narcissists have and all of these very interesting topics. And I'm not sure if it's just the point where I have my radar so on that I assume every person I encounter for this, and this reason are just narcissists. And usually that includes every single person I encounter. Or if I'm just terribly unlucky and they're drawn to me for some reason. But there's videos on that as well. You should check them out. I mean, if you're interested in that kind of thing and like the human psyche and all of those. Anyways, off on a tangent. Let's get into the next story. My wife is a thug. My wife and I are senior citizens. In other words, we are old. My dear wife is a strong, independent, take no shit from anyone type of woman. I adore her for it. She keeps me in line, pushes me to be a better man, and is the reason behind my modest success in life. She is sarcastic, is wicked smart, can cuss like a sailor, and as she gets older, her filter is practically non-existent. A few months ago, we decided to treat ourselves. We made reservations and went to a rather high-end restaurant. They had a maitre d', sommeliers, highly trained waitstaff, etc. My wife, even though she is in her 70s, has very little gray hair and can pass for 55. She was wearing a very pretty white lacy blouse, very flattering black pants, and black flats. She looked good. When we arrived, there was no line, surprisingly, and the maitre d' had apparently stepped away from the podium where he stands. We were waiting there, and my wife was right next to the podium, and I had sat down at one of the benches provided by the entrance when another couple came in. Without missing a beat, the man walked up to the podium and told my wife, "Rockefeller," not the name he used. "We have reservations for two." My wife said that she was sure someone would be with them shortly. The woman huffed a little, and the man said, "Please seat us now." My wife told them that she is waiting to be seated, but the man said again, "Seat us now." So my wife said, "Right away. Walk this way." She walked away with them behind her as she walked around the partition separating the entrance to the dining area, circled around to the other end, and led them back into the entrance and, pointing to the bench, said, "Sit down." The man looked like he was going to blow a gasket, and my wife repeated, "I don't work here, you moron. You wanted me to seat you, so sit the F down." as the couple were sputtering, and before it could escalate further, the maitre d' arrived. We gave our name and he led us away. There was no yelling and no threats of police. We had a wonderful meal, overpriced, but oh well. And the other couple was several tables away from us. We didn't interact again with them, but they did shoot us dirty looks now and then. Now, before you say my wife overreacted and could have explained that she didn't work there in a better way, she has a wicked sense of humor and hates idiots. She loves being a smartass and is so good at it. One of the reasons that I, after being with her all these years, still love being put in my place by her. When I start getting a little too misogynistic. That's so funny. I feel those kind of people who really do need to be put in their place every once in a while, this kind of might humble them a little, ground them a smidgen, realize that the world doesn't, in fact, revolve around them. And that can also be an enlightening experience. So hopefully they walked away from that dinner, bellies full of steak and lobster and champagne and what else do fancy people eat? Asparagus and tiny little plates of food, whatever, with just like a more realistic view on how people see them when they act like little children. Anyways, good job to that lady. Let's clap for her. She's awesome. I hope that I'm like that when I'm 70. You're still parked there. It's a Saturday evening. We're in the car on the way home, and my husband decides he wants to pick up a few beers. We drive into the parking lot of the liquor store, off license, and, as luck would have it, manage to get a spot almost right outside the door. Just as hubby is about to get out and go in, a not inexpensive car pulls up and parks right outside the entrance to the store. In a spot clearly marked as handicapped, wheelchair disabled, 30-something entitled male gets out and scurries into the store. Things like this annoy my husband, who is an imposing 6'5", important for later. Plus, he has a pretty mischievous streak. He goes into the store and picks out his beers, all the while keeping an eye on EM. He sees EM has made his selection and is heading to the queue for the register. The store is busy, with a box full of booze in his hands. Hubby had positioned himself so that he reached the queue just ahead of EM. Once EM has settled into the queue, hubby turns around, looks at EM, and in an ever so slightly raised voice asks, "You realize you are parked in a handicap spot?" EM looks up, sees my husband, casts his eyes downwards, and starts mumbling something unintelligible, and just continued standing there. I think in the hopes that my husband would go away. A few awkward moments later, my husband spoke again. "You're still parked there." EM looked up at him, then defeatedly put his box down, slunk out of the store, and moved his car. Guy behind the register thanked hubby, said he's had huge problems with people parking in that spot when they shouldn't, and told him to go get yourself a free can. After he is back in our car, we can see EM cashing the lot looking for a new place to park. Needless to say, we were not in a rush to leave. Brilliant. That's one of my pet peeves when people park in those spots and they literally don't need to. I think it's so unfortunate. Alright everybody, that's it for today's video. I hope that you liked it. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and a comment. Let me know what subreddit you want me to cover next, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. As always, my socials are on the screen somewhere. If you want to hit me up outside of YouTube, I love to hear from you, and join my Discord if you want to. I'm still working it out, but we'll get there. And yes, okay, bye!